Hey everybody, welcome into the Crimson Tide Daily Recruiting Nugget. As always, I'm Tyler Waldrop here with Andrew Bone, and today we're talking about four-star defensive tackle Damon Payne from Bellevue, Michigan. I probably butchered that, Bone, but tell us a little bit about him, and if you know how to say that city, feel free.
I've just been calling it Belleville, Michigan, but I could be saying it wrong too. But yeah, I mean, Damon Payne, the number one defensive or number one player in the state of Michigan, one of the top overall defensive linemen in the country. I think he's rated number 31 overall in the Rivals 100. Is going to be announcing his decision on July the 26th. A couple of weeks ago, we had actually heard that he was going to wait. He was going to wait until the season, take some visits, and then told Josh Hemholt, who covers the Midwest region for Rivals last week, told him that he has decided that he wanted to go ahead and announce the decision, which I feel like is very positive for Alabama. Alabama's kind of been considered in the driver's seat for him for a very long time. Even though he's a kid from Michigan, he has been visiting Tuscaloosa since his freshman year. I mean, he's taken 4 or 5 visits to Alabama, so he knows everything about the program, has a great relationship with the coaching staff. And guess what? Charles Huff, who has been absolutely on a tear this recruiting season, is his lead recruiter. So that would be another huge get for Coach Huff. I mean, I think he's if he can get Damon Payne on board next week, he's all about wrapped up the National Recruiter of the Year, in my opinion. But could be a big pickup for Alabama on July the 26th. Now, who's it down between? I think it's down between Alabama and Kentucky. Kentucky's been a school that has actually his first offer. Kentucky offered him when he was just in 8th grade. So that's kind of the reason Kentucky's been very high on his list for a long time. Kentucky also signed 5-star defensive lineman Justin Rogers out of Michigan in last year's recruiting class, and they've got a really good relationship with each other. And he's been trying to recruit him, trying to get him to join him at Kentucky. But in my opinion, I think Alabama's done enough to win him over, and this would be a big defensive line commitment for the Crimson Tide.
Sabone, I have to say, I can't remember the last time we were talking about a guy making a decision between Alabama and Kentucky.
Yeah, there's not really many of those recruiting battles that take place. We have seen a few over the years. We saw Jedrick Wills, commit to Alabama over his home state. Damian Harris, another kid, from the Lexington area who committed to Alabama over Kentucky. So a few former 5-stars. I mean, it's kind of. I'm sure the Wildcat fans aren't too happy with Alabama. Still in the big names from them, but I think Damon Payne would be a very nice addition for Alabama in this recruiting class, a big win for the Crimson Tide. Now, there's still a chance that he might take some visits because, the biggest thing about this whole recruiting process this year is a lot of these kids haven't really gotten to enjoy the recruiting process. They weren't able to go on spring trips. They weren't able to go to summer camps or take summer visits. And, if they're allowed to this fall, which who knows, they may not be allowed, the recruiting dead period may get extended throughout the entire fall, and they may not be able to go to games or take official visits. We just don't know, that just yet. So, that would be obviously that would suck for a lot of kids throughout the country not being able to go and take visits. But, for kids who are committed to other programs, I'm sure those programs are pretty happy that those kids aren't going to be taking many visits this fall.
And yeah, that kind of brings to mind something I wanted to ask you. You said at the top of the video, we were expecting Payne to make it a decision one way or the other later in the year. Then, do you think he's pushed up because of, just the dead period being extended and doubt about the season? Or do you think he's pushed up because Alabama's adding a lot of guys and maybe there's a feeling you need to get on board now while there's still room?
Well, I don't think that's the case in terms of being pushed to go ahead and make a decision. I think he would have a spot down the road regardless. Of course, we're still kind of waiting to see what else is going to happen on the defensive front. Because as of right now, Alabama has one interior defensive line commitment in Anquin Barnes. Certainly still going after several guys in this class. So we just don't know what's going to happen the rest of the way. But this would be a huge pickup for Alabama to go ahead and get him on board. I think the recruiting dead period getting extended and, the uncertainty about football season may have made him want to go ahead and make a decision and just kind of go ahead and get it out of the way. Now, if he can take some visits this fall, he probably will still do that. But I think he knows where he wants to go. I think he's known for a while. We've been saying for a long time that Alabama was in the driver's seat for him. Always felt like he was going to end up picking Alabama, but it looks like, he was probably going to make a decision, sometime in the summer, but he was also thinking he was going to be able to take those spring and summer visits and enjoy the recruiting process a little bit more. Now he's not able to do that, but it seems like he's ready to go ahead and get that decision out of the way.
And people who followed you for a while, on our message boards or even on our YouTube channel, they probably know that you're stingier than some with your Futurecast. Have you locked one in already for Damon Payne? And if so, how long ago did you lock that in?
Yeah, I don't really like to go in there and switch it, 10, 15 times like some people, but I did go ahead and put one in for Alabama. Probably I would say maybe 2 weeks ago is when I locked in my Futurecast for him. And there's some guys that I've already made Futurecast for that I feel very confident, even though they're not going to be making a decision anytime soon. There's some other guys that I've already made Futurecast for, but he's certainly one that we went ahead and put in one for Alabama, a couple weeks ago, even before he announced that he was going to be making a decision on the 26th. But I feel very confident in that pick.
It's not over till it's over, but like I said, if y'all followed Bone at all, you know that he's not changing these things up very much. I think I only know of like one or two guys that you've changed for. I mean, for the most part, you wait until you know, and then you lock it in.
That's right.
And then just before we get out of here, you mentioned that, we kind of, we and the fans and everyone kind of need to wait and watch and see what happens with the defensive line, especially interior, in relation to this class. Are there some other names that fans should be thinking about after Payne commits that, who else is Alabama sort of going after?
Well, as of right now, if they can get Damon Payne on board, they're going to have two very good interior defensive line commitments. I think the biggest thing for them kind of moving forward is, who are they going to add on the outside? Can they get Shamar Turner out of Texas? What about Chambry Jackson out of Orlando? Those are certainly two high-profile guys that they've been heavily recruiting. Tim Keenan's an in-state defensive lineman that they've recruited for a while, but does a spot potentially go away for him, with some more commitments on board? I think he's wanting to wait a while before making a decision, but, time might be running out for him. So we'll kind of wait and see. There's some other defensive linemen that are out there. Lee Hunter, who's committed to Auburn right now. He's another guy that Alabama is still pursuing. Tumise Adelier, who's committed to Ohio State. Tyreek Sapp, who's currently committed to Florida, but actually put out a top 5, which very rare to see a commitment put out a top 5. But he put out a top 5 the other day and had Alabama in that group. So he's another guy that we could potentially see take a visit to Alabama here in the future. Corey Foreman, the number 1 player in the Rivals 100, posted his top 7 last week. Alabama was included. I tend to think Alabama's probably on the outside looking in. I think the former Clemson commitments probably leaning towards staying on the West Coast, with Oregon and USC probably trending for him right now. But you never know who may pop up in the next couple months as a potential target, because there's some guys that we really weren't talking about 2 weeks ago as landing in Alabama's class, and we now see 3 of them, 2 of them, excuse me, Kadarius Callaway and Devontae Smith on board. We weren't really talking about them as potentially being in Alabama's class a few weeks ago. Now they're committed, so who knows what may happen on the defensive front or for the rest of the class, at all.
Yeah, lots of stuff is happening. We've been very busy trying to bring all that coverage to y'all lately. I would encourage everybody, just keep up with the YouTube page, especially commitment videos. They're going to go up here as soon as these guys make decisions, and you can always check out the site, especially the recruiting board. Bone is going to drop a couple times a week 5 thoughts. And then and those 5 thoughts will break down, the guys he's thinking the most about, the guys he's hearing the most about. And then, every other day you've got him tackling certain topics, offensive line guys Alabama's going after, defensive tackles, all these other thoughts. And he's really breaking it down for y'all and trying to keep y'all as up to date as possible. So I'd encourage y'all to make sure you check that out at BamaInsider.com.